And we are live. Welcome to another scene in Darkness in Dublin. This is a scene in the Mage venue. We've got a couple people here tonight, specifically Stefanos, Rupert Gallows, Hyun, otherwise known as Bok Choi. I'm never going to let that go. Sorry. And also Benny, the virtual adept, and potentially other NPCs that may be inflicted on us at any moment. Yes, at any moment. So the other characters have, through various means, cell phones, etc., have received a request from Stefanos to meet him at his forge for discussions and so on and so forth. The address is basically given to a residential, like suburbia, a neighborhood, decent. His resources 3, so take that for what you will. The house itself is dark. There's no lights on when you get there, but there is a open door at the side of the building, which leads to the backyard. It's hanging open. It's obviously available. And there is a lit, almost like a shack or a enclosed forge, you might think, with a chimney. There is light coming out of that, both from the cracks around the door and from a window. So, who would like to arrive?
No. Hyun will just kind of wander by, walking as per the usual. Got his typical hoodie and blue jeans on. And it's like a house, right? And then the forge is in the back or something.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, he'll just walk up to the front door, kind of like looking a little sheepish, and he'll just kind of knock on the door.
Of the forge?
If he was told to go directly to the forge, yes. If
yes.
not, then the house. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so when you head to the forge, this time for once, Stefanos is not in the middle of building something because he's leaving that to other things, and he opens the door. He's wearing, much as you see in the picture, minus the popped collar, because no sane man would wear that while forging. In any case, he does look like he might have been working on it recently. He nods to Hyun. He looks kind of past him to see if anyone else has arrived yet, and waves you inside. Come in, come in.
And we'll say thanks and wander on in.
And there is, by the way, the description of the interior for everyone else, because you'll see the same thing when you get in there. It's a decent-sized forge. However, there is one door at the back which leads into what looks like an anteroom almost, or a storeroom. It's currently closed because that's where a certain someone sleeps. And there are also 2 figures working the forge who are... Let me pull up their picture because it is worth noting. One of them looks like this, and the other one is basically the same thing but in gold. And they both have impressive beards for some reason.
Neat.
So he's going to nod for you to take a seat. He's brought in a few chairs from the house. They look serviceable. Not the most comfy, but, I mean, they're chairs.
I'll take a seat.
Nathan or Byron, either one of you guys want to pop in?
Yeah, sure. Well, we've been here before, so we'll arrive and knock at the door.
All right, Stefanos will head back to the door, open it up, and let you in.
Let's see you again. Thank you for organising this.
Quite all right. We're still missing a few people, but I'm not sure if they will make it this evening. I did send a message to Eric, but I have not heard back from him yet. He may be occupied. His hours at the hospital are unusual, I'm led to understand. Also, there's another person coming. Benny, you may remember I mentioned?
Yes.
When they arrive, we should probably have a gentle discussion with him before he meets Sadia.
Mm-hmm.
that would probably be best for all of us, unless you feel like trying to counter magic for most of the evening.
No.
All right. Also, I did send a message to Kurzweil, but I have not heard from him either. In any case, he'll leave the door closed for whenever Byron wants to arrive. That be soonish, or do you want me to get started? Do you want to pop in now, Byron, or
Yeah, pop in.
okay? Once there's a third knock on the door, and he's just like, timing. It works out. He'll open the door, and once he sees it's Benny, he... Huh? Damn it! No, you can't do that! Only I get to do that! Just kidding. Yeah, he'll open the door, see that it's Benny, and just be like, speak of the... Yes, Hyun, this will only take a moment. I'm sorry to leave you unattended. Asimi, don't do something to entertain him. That's not in their job description.
I'm just going to challenge both of them to an arm wrestling contest.
I mean, that could go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, realistically, they're soft metal. You should... Yeah, but we'll see. While you're doing that, he's going to motion for Rupert. You know, like, he looks very ill at ease, like he's not used to doing this sort of thing, but he's like trying to take this conversation just outside the forge and close the door so that anyone who's inside the forge wouldn't hear it. or in the storeroom, for that matter. Does Rupert follow?
Yes.
Okay. So, Benny, you left a little quickly the other night. You do realize Eric and I are trying to help, yes?
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us your side of it then? We spent a while describing what we saw, but what was... Just, why don't you tell us your side of it then?
There's no point in sharing sides anymore. God fucking damn it. 1 second.
No problem. Attack of the killer cell phone. Tiger's making strength checks. I'd say he's probably going to win. I don't know what your strength score is, man, but you might win this. At least until they're upgraded. Then that'll be pretty awesome. Technical difficulties.
Alright, I'm back.
Oh, the girl's name is actually Sedia Malon, I believe. Sedia.
I have it somewhere here.
Yeah. I can never remember how the last name's spelled, but I know the first name because it's the same name as Katie's last name.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Okay, so when you say that, you just be like, all right, look, we're not trying to get you in trouble. We're not trying to come at this like throwing the book at you per se.
Seems awfully much like it.
If we were doing that, you would already have been accosted and or arrested or something else. But there's a reason why that's not happening. Even under normal circumstances, as I have been assured by Mr. Gallows here, you would likely be let off simply with a warning. Mostly for the fact that it was not a lethal spell. And he's keeping his voice down for this, by the way, because they are just outside the forge. You know, they're not likely to be anyone listening in, but still voices, you know. It was not a lethal spell. It would simply be chalked up to a error in judgment, most likely. But what I am trying to determine is whether it would ever happen again. Do you understand why people reacted the way they did to it?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you likely to do such things in the future?
Use my magic, yes.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh god, that's nasty. Sorry, I'm watching a video.
I think you know what I mean.
How about you refresh my memory? It's been a while, and I've been busy doing things.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You tried to cast a hex on a little child.
Yeah?
That's not something you should be doing. And you shouldn't need someone to explain that to you. If whatever, I don't know where you came from before you arrived in Dublin. I have never seen what mages are like in other cities. I'm told it's not commonplace for most of the things we do in the city to be, well, anything. It's a whole separate story. But it is generally a very bad idea to cast spells, even discreet ones, on sleepers, unless it is a matter of extreme importance. Pettiness, especially against children, that's not acceptable. Now, as you said, there are many other things going on in the city right now. Something like that is a low priority. When you have infernalists and all these other problems going on, that is going after you for something like that would be like going after a jaywalker while the bank is being robbed. But it would still be best if what you were doing did not occur.
I've done it once, and I have yet to do it again, or plan to do it again, but yet I'm constantly being belittled for it.
This is not belittling you. He's going to get frustrated at that point, just like turn around like he's trying to collect himself, and also because I don't want to dominate the entire conversation, otherwise I want other people here.
Oppressive aura.
We put give Stefano say, would you like me to try? Look.
You get the very quick nod.
Okay. Benny, is that your name?
It's a name.
Do you understand why cursing children is, should we say, antisocial? Why it offends people?
Yes.
Do you regret doing it?
No, but I'm not gonna do it again.
Okay, not doing it again because you understand it offends people is good. Regretting your actions would be better. Why do you not regret doing it?
He had it coming.
Might I ask which tradition you're from?
No.
He's an adept.
Okay.
I don't think that has much to do with it. Kurzweil found it just as bad.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, hey, Kurzweil's here. He literally arrived.
The Verbena have a principle called threefold return. That which you do to the world returns to you threefold, they believe, as I understand it. Now, if you go around cursing people, you're doing bad things. There's more bad things going around, and sooner or later those bad things are going to strike you or the people that you care about. Perhaps, if only for self-interest, you should not do it. But really, as adults, we should understand that harming children is wrong. Just because they've been naughty is not justification.
I have to say that when an adult cannot outthink a child and the child pays the price, it's a sad state of affairs.
By the way, it's totally fine for your character to have arrived. I just need to explain where the scene is for you.
I'm here. I'm listening.
That's fine. Essentially, Stephanos would have sent out a couple invitations to come to his forge. It's in Dublin suburbia. Decent house, resources 3. The house itself is dark. You've been told to go around back to the forge. There's a little gate on the side, takes you to the backyard. nice little shack that's got a forge, maybe a little ante-room that's like a storeroom of some kind. And right now, the door to the forge is closed, and Rupert, Benny, and Stephanos are having a conversation outside of it.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you.
So you would have walked on. You would have walked up right during that conversation, basically.
Oh, okay.
So, well, at the very least, Benny has said he won't do it again because he understands it offends people, and I hope he appreciates that we are here as a guest in someone's house, and it's rude to have a fellow guest in that house.
Okay, I guess that'll do.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, no.
Is that... So do we have your word that you won't cast any other Maleficia, at least while you're here?
I don't have... Oh, my goodness.
It means curses.
I'm not going to cast any magic at other people's houses. That's rude.
Thank you. Okay. Stephanos, is that good enough for you?
That'll do for now.
If I'm not... I'm sorry. I just really don't think I belong here. Maybe I just leave.
Let me ask you one simple question. Do you think infernalism is a good idea?
No.
He's good enough.
It's about worse idea as casting magic on two in the panty.
No, it's much worse.
Significantly worse.
Yeah.
What you did would simply get you a slap on the wrist. Unless you had actually, like, killed the child or done something horrible, then horrible things would happen to you. But even had you been successful, let's be honest, it would have been a slap on the wrist, as I understand it. Infernalism is something very different.
Yeah, that's
and
bad
welcome, welcome to you, Kurzweil. Sorry you had to arrive in the middle of this. Look, Benny, the reason I have invited folks here this evening is to discuss a few problems we've been having in the city. I may not agree with you on some of your views. As long as you keep by what you just said, I think we could still work together on this. God knows we're going to need every person we can get. There are some things going on in the city you might not be aware of.
You'll see Sadia come around the corner and just walk up to Stephanos and say, "Hey, Stephanos, you got any food around here?"
Wasn't she in the storeroom?
Yeah, now she's not out of the store. Now she's not in the store.
Did she pick up Correspondence 3 when I was... Oh, she has the ring. God damn it. I knew I need to warn my goddamn forge. Anyways, he'll just be like...
I was looking for food in the fridge, but there's nothing in there. Do you keep it stocked or something or not?
I spend more time in the forge than in the house, but I can get something.
Who are these folks? And then she looks at Benny and like she kind of looks a little bit.
To be fair, Benny did not do anything. Benny was.
He didn't do anything obvious.
Exactly.
She didn't do. He didn't. She just listened like, I've seen you before.
Yes, he was there the same night.
By the way, Stephanos, has Glasspod been in touch with you?
No, why?
Oh, because I got a hold of him on the web, and he said that he would reach you.
I have not heard from him so far. Oh, see, I'm pretty sure I haven't gotten a message from him.
Okay, I'll question him about why he hasn't reached you yet.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's take this conversation inside. Sadia, let's see. Tell you what. He's looking for a second. Just
you
hear
like, from her stomach.
You know, the Chantry has some food. Why don't you step inside the forge? And he makes like the little ring twisting gesture. Check I believe the student lounge, the apprentice lounge, I should say, on the second floor. Usually has pizza, cookies, that sort of thing, and I'll make sure to top off the fridge in the morning, if nothing else. If that's not good, I do have some sandwiches in my in the forge, but they're ham and bologna. So
Hey, cookies and pizza, I'm game for that. I'll go do that now. So she'll actually head back into the forge and, imagine the chantry and she's kind of folds inside of herself and she disappears.
So Hyun, you literally just see that girl walk into the forge, close the door, she's gone.
Whoa! Holy crap!
Built his head while he's still in the middle of arm wrestling one of the golems.
One, you could be arm wrestling both for all I know.
I guess she's not worried about the paradox. Okay.
I mean, it's a wonder and it's a sanctum. She's okay.
All right.
Anyways.
Thought even wonders can get paradox.
Depending on the circumstances, yes. But in any case, he'll open the door and usher folks inside. Just in time to see there's Hyun, who is currently arm wrestling two golems, one made out of silver, one made out of gold. Probably not both at the same time, to be totally fair. But,
he's only.
Yeah. So you're probably having to focus.
Yeah.
Once he's inside, he'll close the door and say, "All right, everyone, get comfortable." There are a bunch of seats. There's no like table or anything so much as just a bunch of seats arranged kind of in a circle.
Kurzweil plops a squad.
Yeah. All right, so here's the gist. And before we get started, let's just affirm what I'm fairly sure I already know. Show of hands, who thinks infernalism is harmless? No hands?
No, not a single one.
No.
Good! Then I can continue this discussion and not throw anyone out. Well, to be fair, I wouldn't be doing the throwing. He points at the golems. Anyways. All right, so there were some incidents recently which would take a very long time to go over, and OOC, unless anyone really wants me to go over those events again, I don't think. Byron only has a limited amount of time, but Byron, do you want me to go over what you missed? Because there were some crucial scenes which your character wasn't present for. A couple of the other characters here may have already heard some of this before, like I think Kurzweil and Rupert, but if you'd like, I can go over it.
Go for it.
Okay. All right, so several of you were on the mission on the Leviathan. There was, after the incident on the Leviathan, several of the people who were there went to Agrabah Nights, which I believe all of you have been to. During the incident on the Leviathan, Miss Yuki was captured, Yuki Kimura, the Euthanatoi. She was captured by the Union, last we had seen. She showed up seemingly unharmed and, in fact, cured of the disease she had inflicted on her at Agrabah Nights, not several hours after her apparent capture. And not only was the disease gone, and she had no memory of her capture, simply of entering the stasis pod and then waking up in a bus stop, which he looks over at Hyun like, that doesn't sound legit, does it? Sounds like there might be a few gaps.
A little bit.
And she also showed up 2 months pregnant. And the child has a extremely powerful energy signature. So we were concerned it might be a trap or an imposter, but after various scans and checks, it seemed to be the real deal. The larger issue was when a demon by the name of Faust burst through the door, or rather, he hurled the guardian, the Jinn spirit that guards the Agrabah Nights, hurled him through, broke his back, and then came in through the tent flap. Apparently, Faust was possessing a woman began speaking with Yuki in front of everyone, discussing some deal they had had. Yuki admitted to this, which that's a problem. But to be fair, most people were more worried about the demon than the person who had admitted to working with it. To keep things short, apparently Faust made a bargain with her, which gave it the ability to name her firstborn child, to give it a true name, which that's a bad thing, because apparently true names mean the essence of the person. You can essentially control what something is by its true name. At least that's how it was explained to us. And we lost Byron. He might have had to go. Oh well. I can keep going for the rest, though, because I don't think Hyun... Did Hyun get the abbreviated version of this?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you did. You were. And Kurzweil, did your character?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
Byron's
there
back.
that night that we first started talking to Benny about what he'd done to the kid, and he took off.
Before that conversation started, yes. And Byron is back now. So, okay. All right, so to try and keep it as short as possible, hard to do. The demon has the ability to name the child, and apparently has done so. Faust then said the child would be born on the day of September 10th, which apparently it's an accelerated pregnancy of some kind, because that would only make it 5 months old. And that's with the 2 months it gained out of nothing. All right, so people got paranoid. People started talking about the end of the world, because that date apparently falls on some sort of confluence of the realms. All the gateways are open, or available to be opened. Someone talked about the gates of hell opening. Someone called up the goddess of discord, Eris, from the Greek pantheon, my own pantheon, and began asking her questions. She answered a few, but then deferred to a slightly more knowledgeable entity about that particular situation. She lured down an archangel, apparently, who gave more information, and then it apparently turned out that some events that happened in the city over the last several months resulted in Faust getting a very unique opportunity to steal into heaven and steal a name from a book of names. It apparently stole the name of the Second Coming, and then, we're assuming, attributed this to the child. This was serious enough that the Archangel attempted to kill Yuki, which, had it been successful, would have caused it to be damned and fall. It was willing to... One of the 6 archangels was willing to sacrifice its divinity to put a stop to this.
Wow.
Just let that sink in for a moment.
Wow, that's something.
And it failed because another entity, who I assume must have been another archangel, just at a guess, stopped it. And then we were hurled back into Agrabah Nights at that point. Afterwards, Master Siren arrived, near to death. Apparently something that had transpired that evening, or close to it. Something had changed. I am told it means that his divine parent, his mother, had turned her face from the world or something. In result, he was dying. And it seemed to be connected to Yuki, since he looked straight at her and said, "What have you done?" So apparently the two are connected. Faust had long since left, by the way. He killed his host and fled in spirit form. Several people were able to stabilize Master Siren and allow his father, the Archbishop, to come by and pick him up. The Archbishop effectively excommunicated Yuki. Not that she's Catholic, but it was more of a symbolic gesture of denial, since infernalism.
Yeah.
The following day, several people went to attend Miss Daniela's baptism at the Archbishop's church, the cathedral, and that resulted in... Apparently, Yuki did arrive and was allowed in, interestingly enough. There was a guardian spirit, but it let her in, and the Archbishop, who clearly must have been aware of her, did not interrupt the service. After the service was concluded, he requested that we speak to him in his chambers. And they began talking about the issue that's coming up with the choristers. I can summarize the issue with the former choristers, now the Canticle of Lamenters, as the Catholics are literally crusading on their own ranks with the help of the Templars and purging and or converting any non-Catholics in the tradition.
Just to clarify, I believe it's non-Christians.
Actually, no, it's non-Catholics. They went after the Protestants and the Baptists and the Lutherans.
I really thought they hadn't gone after anyone who accepts Jesus.
Maybe it got changed, but I was told it was Catholics even against non-Christian or against other denominations. But anyways, okay. Yes. After that, the Archbishop explained that he was trying to keep the conflict from coming to a head and trying to allow those who did not wish to join to flee rather than be killed, also protecting their families from the nascent Inquisition. However, he was having an issue, namely, all the issue with infernalism being thought of in the city was essentially causing him to be taken up on charges of incompetence or possibly heresy, because it's happening on his watch. And he wished for us to get to the bottom of all this infernalism. He apparently did not believe Yuki to be the source of it. Or at least not the largest threat in the city. And perhaps it was him offering her a way to redeem herself. But in any case, those hopes were rather dashed because she gave him an item that she said would probably help, and it nearly killed him. The moment he took it, he burst into hellfire and nearly died. And if it weren't for the actions of a few people, Daniela and Miss Morgan specifically, healing him and pouring holy water on him, he would have likely died. As it was, he survived, and before he could do much else other than stand up, something froze him in place, which he is an Archmagi. It's very difficult to do. And the spell on him was one of the most potent I've ever seen. The entity that arrived had power similar to one of the archangels and identified itself as Lucifer, or Lucy, Satan, Prince of Darkness, that sort of thing. Whether it, as some of us have discussed prior to tonight, it may not have been that entity, but at this point it doesn't really matter if it was or if it was an Archduke of Hell. It's still an entity of evil and extreme power.
Damn.
So it's rather like saying, oh, that's not an elder dragon, that's just an old dragon. It doesn't matter. It's still going to eat you. In any case, Lucifer apparently did not wish a deal, though I am told the wording may have constituted one. He wished to give knowledge to people if we all symbolically accepted his knowledge. However, several of us were not willing to do so. Myself and Glasspaw and Jinx, for a start. However, Miss Samira and Sketch were both interested in hearing him out. And after our denials, after they had suggested that it might be worth listening to, and after the rest of us had said no, Yuki then publicly accepted the offer, which didn't really do anything since that it was only open if we had all accepted it. So she essentially admitted to infernalism a second time, and it got her absolutely nothing. Even Lucifer mocked her somewhat for that decision, which is rather sad. At that point, it left. It left its calling card on the ground. I believe it was taken by Miss Morgan afterwards. I don't know whether she was taking it for safekeeping, as Yuki had said she had originally, or what her story was, but it is in her keeping, last I heard. There were... that was the majority of what happened. The Archbishop almost killed Yuki, I believe. But he desisted at the last minute due to the protestations of those present. Or perhaps due to some of his own. I don't think anyone could have stopped him, to be quite honest. And then after that, he retired and went into seclusion, or whatever it is that message said. The gist of it I understood was he's no longer here, and the Archbishop is now the High Inquisitor. Or rather, the role is now filled by the High Inquisitor. And that is the summary there. Also, the girl that you all saw, Rupert, you've already met her. Benny, you met her, but you didn't get an introduction. That is Sadia. She is my apprentice. She is under my protection and under that of the Hermetic Order. She is learning how to control her abilities. And fair warning, if you piss her off, she might turn you to ash before I can stop her.
Oh, shit.
She is, I say this with utter candor, she's stronger than I am.
Wow.
So, there's that. Other than that, Hyun, since you weren't there, there was an instant the other night. I can summarize it very quickly. And you weren't there either, Kurzweil, so this is relevant to both of you. The briefest summary would be several of us were present at another mage bar called The Tig. It's run by a man named Mads. He's blind, rather nice fellow. Some children were tormenting a cat, Sadia and two boys. Morgan, Mr. Collins, and a woman named Kali all got up together to deal with it. And their method of dealing with it, I cannot honestly say whether it was Mr. Collins alone or the actions of the other two as well that provoked it, but their actions caused the child to awaken.
Yes, I remember this.
So that was a bit of a to-do. When she awoke, she was in her full power. She banished Mr. Collins into some sort of nether dimension. Haven't heard from him since, so... in any case, that brings everyone up to speed at this point, I believe. So we have until September 10th. That's apparently Judgment Day, unless something happens to prevent it before then.
I also want to mention Project Morpheus.
Yes. Apparently there was information recovered by Winrate and Miss Osaka before she fell into some sort of coma. And Winrate passed it on to Daniela. Apparently this Project Morpheus was started in the 1950s or thereabouts. It's a plot hinging on that same day, September 10th, the Astral Convergence or whatever, where they would use a vast store of energy, quintessence, to change the consensus. They would effectively abolish faith and magic and many other things, though I personally believe it would likely make it just far worse for us, but I'm not an expert. If they think that they can utterly destroy it, then perhaps that's what it would do.
Okay.
So the Union and a demon are both trying to take advantage of this date. One may be manipulating the other for all we know.
If it helps any, the Union's gonna need a fuck ton of power to do that Project Morpheus thing.
Yes. Project Morpheus has wasn't it 14% of the Union's resources?
Well, the Leviathan,
it was like 13% or something like that.
The Leviathan was working on it, doing some deep space mapping, I believe. There were records there.
But they don't have the anymore.
For now, yes, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Since the Aetherites are... It's with them, so it would have to break out past most of their fleet, which I don't think it's capable of, or at least they don't seem worried about it since they have people on it. But hopefully that avenue has been closed to them, but we'll have to see. What I was hoping was if those present here were amenable to the concept, we might work together and try to find some means of pooling our talents in some way and create, without using flowery words, essentially dig a hole, bunker it up, and hope to survive this thing. I don't mean hide our heads in the sand. I mean, whatever happens, we may need a wall to put our back against. Or at least a place to operate out of.
And allies who can work together, trust each other, and share information.
And
Well,
not
I'm
doing
out.
Well, this is after why the Council of Nine was founded, was it not? To form cabals across traditions. So
Currently the Council of Eight, but yes. Your point is not changed by that. No, Mark, you're quite fine. We're still live. The scene is taking place at Stephanos' forge. Everyone else is currently there inside. You would have been told to meet him at the forge. He just sent you a message an hour ago whenever you were ready. So everyone's inside. You're free to knock on the door.
And Eric will approach the door and then decide against it and head away again. No, just kidding. He will bamboozled again. No, he will knock on the door.
You see 4 options: fight, poke, item, run. I'm just kidding.
Run.
Exactly, run away.
Run away! Race
Stefano,
Robin.
You are suggesting, Marcus, in a cabal, a union of people who trust each other to work with each other well.
essentially, or at least trust each other not to do some very specific things.
I would hope.
He's going to open the door for Eric and invite him inside. The conversation is obviously ongoing. He's like, "Hey, welcome. Come on in."
I would
Eric
hope
will smile and say, "Well, thanks for asking me here." And then he heads inside and sees everyone else gathered, and then nods in greeting. "Good evening, gentlemen. I'm quite intrigued to find out what purpose we've been summoned here." He smiles and looks at what's your face, Stephanos.
To greet your new lord and master.
No, I'm just kidding. Stephanos was an infernalist all along. No, I'm just kidding. You were going to say something, Byron. I'm sorry.
Yes. Honestly, this would work if we all trusted each other.
trust
Everyone I invited here, I trust not to be an infernalist.
Yes, but you don't fully trust everybody here. You put emphasis on that. I'll be more than happy to help you any way I can, but I cannot be part of the cabal.
That is entirely up to you.
Unless you find some way, somebody to drag me in here, I can't do this.
I don't know a way to drag you into this other than telling you, oh, hey, the city might explode, and we need everyone who's not an infernalist at least to be working together. If you're still willing to cooperate and assist us, excellent. Allies are better than nothing, but I don't know another way to simply convince you.
No one can decide for you, man.
No.
I would like to think that trust is something that can be gradually built with time and experience together. As we get to know each other, as we do things together, we can build trust. Yes, allies are certainly welcome, and friends are certainly welcome. We will need both of those. But there are times in conflict where you need close friends that you can rely upon. That's what a cabal is for. If you don't want to be part of that, that's regrettable. I wish you good fortune and hope we can be allies.
Hearing this conversation, Eric will look from one to the other and then smile and says, "Well, if can someone explain to me what we're talking about?
Basically, we're forming a little ragtag, kind of a motley group here to try to beat back Infernalists. That's what we're for, as far as what I've gathered.
Perhaps Stephanos, perhaps you should explain, or would you like me to?
Eric
Oh,
looks at
see.
the host.
Oh, see, wait, well, I'm confused.
Well, so both Eric's player and Eric is confused as well. So
Okay, in that case, let's see what Nathan has in mind, because I think I lost track of that. Go ahead, Nathan.
Thank you for coming, Eric. Yes, you already missed the, shall we say, the preamble. As you may know, there's a lot of bad things, such as open infernalism, going on in the city. We are very concerned about this, and concerned that Maga Society is not properly responding, and we're particularly fearful on the 10th of September various bad things may well happen. We are proposing to form a cabal of people who can work together for mutual defence, for mutual advancement, and perhaps along the way help save the city and the world from the second coming, or something to that effect. I hope you already know some of the bad things which are going on, Eric.
he looks. I mean, I've sensed tension in the air, but no one has actually bothered to. And then, of course, I know about the incident that happened the other day. I was there.
Which incident?
He looks at Stephanos, the one where someone forced a child to awaken.
Okay, that's a relatively minor affair compared to everything else going on. There are open infernalists in the city. There are reports of none less than Lucifer himself dropping in for a visit. The Archbishop burst into green flame. It goes on and on and on.
He looks at him and says, "Wait. When you say Lucifer, do you mean like the devil from the Bible?"
Either that or an archduke impersonating him, and as we've said, does it really matter?
Pooh. Suddenly, Sadia comes into the room, or to the back side of the room, and
With pizza.
she's carrying
better have
like
pizza.
She has 2 pizza boxes.
Oh, excellent.
All right, she says, "This one's for you guys," and she takes the big pizza box. "This one's for me," and she walks out of the room.
Thank you.
Mini tanks.
She'll kind of look at you and kind of give you a nod and goes upstairs.
Forge dad is best dad. Just eat pizza and do whatever. Not a good thing. Not a good thing, but whatever.
Yeah, it seems like the world could end in two different ways on the 10th of September, and we're really trying to see if we can either prevent that or perhaps survive it, at least.
If anyone eats the pizza, roll me a d12 when you can.
Oh no.
You know what?
Pineapple?
Yeah,
Fuck
straight
it.
up.
I'm gonna have a pizza. 1d12.
Yep, I guess I'll eat a slice. I guess I'll eat a slice too.
Oh, you got a 12 also, Tiger.
Hell yeah.
Let's see.
We've got 2 12s and whoever Mr. Northman is.
That's me.
That's Mark. Okay. I'll let you know. Roll me your stamina, Mark.
God.
Oh god. So apparently, it isn't the
High rolls were desired for this, I guess.
It isn't this room that's gonna get me.
You want a difficulty 6.
I mean, you're a medical professional, and we've got a cyberneticist medic here. We're good.
Okay.
I
can
got
stasis
one
you.
success.
Yeah, when you're eating the pizza, you just maybe it's the peppers. You're getting a little bit of heartburn.
He eats the pizza, but he does cough slightly, and then heads to Stephanos'. I'm going to assume that there's a small kitchen in the forge, or at least some place where you can get water.
A counter. It's probably just a counter and like a work fridge.
Yeah, he's gonna go there and get something to drink.
Okay.
There's bottled water. By the way, he looks at the pizza box and goes, "Well, what were the toppings? Homunculus." No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Nah, come on.
No. No one's that cruel.
So, yeah, I hope we can sit down later and recap exactly what's going on, but that's the general gist of how bad it is. But, Frank, to be honest with you, even if things weren't that bad, I can still see good merit in, shall we say, slightly younger magi coming together, forming a cabal for their common interest.
It does help that several of us have similar leanings, from what I understand.
Eric
Yeah.
nods.
If I remember correctly, Eric, you're a doctor.
He nods. Yes, I am.
And you, Kurzweil, are an aspiring cyberneticist, which requires an understanding of medicine.
Yes.
And as it happens, he's kind of like nods his head towards Hyun. You have there an example of, and this would be a good time for a snikt. He actually says that.
For a what?
A what?
Gun will stop arm wrestling with the golem, which he's been doing this entire time. And he'll kind of like raise his fist and then pop his claws out. They're basically Wolverine claws.
Shunt.
So basically, yes, we have a cyberneticist, we have a doctor, and we have a cyborg.
Now we just need a bar to walk into. Eric grins.
I could build you one. Also, let's see, cyberneticist. I am a roboticist. I am also. I do practice hermetic magic now, and so does Rupert here. We may go at it from slightly different angles, but we do have common ground there. I believe everyone here is, and also Kurzweil, you are a adept, and so is Benny. So even if you did not join Benny, you would at least have some common grounds with being able to work together with him as a liaison or something.
Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm more than willing to help. I'm just not going to join your group.
That's fine. I mean, I can't force you to do it or anything.
And we appreciate your honesty and upfrontness in saying that. We'd much rather have people join or not join than do some strange in-between thing where they join but don't really participate.
Not everybody's a joiner.
It's... So... Alright, so part of this discussion then, even if you're not intending to join, we can have most of these discussions in front of you. There should be no issue there. We would likely need to find at some point some sort of dwelling of our own, because obviously this forge is nice, but it's not going to be suitable for everything. There's not enough room. Perhaps, and it would also need to be some place where we would not arouse too much suspicion going there on a regular basis. Perhaps someplace downtown or in the commercial district. I am not the wealthiest person, but I have some money set aside.
Yeah, same here. I have some money. I'm not loaded, but yeah.
Yeah, same here. I'm not Bill Gates, but I am comfortable.
And he looks over towards Rupert, just kind of like that speculative eye of what do lawyers make these days.
Rupert smiles. I work for a living.
So that means you're not broke. That's progress. And I hesitate to ask, but Hyun? Affluent?
It's fine.
I was going to say, I don't think you're secretly Tony Stark, but...
Winter is coming. Oh, wait, wrong Stark.
No!
All right, so we'll have to look at details, but at some point perhaps we can find something that suits our purposes. The good news is, with our various skill sets, I have some ideas as to how we might be able to expand such a dwelling. It would take time, however, even using our abilities to try and shorten that time. But hear me out on this. If we were to take, say, I don't know, one of those nice little, relatively inexpensive office buildings that's always up for lease, form a legitimate business. I mean, we have engineers, cyberneticists. We could easily do something to do with modern day prosthetics, which that would call for most of our skills: doctor, lawyer, cyberneticist, and mechanical engineer. So
yeah, that's legit. That sounds legit as fuck. There you go.
We'd be able to do that, and in fact, Benny, do any of your talents lie in that direction? Because if you wanted to simply be on call for, assisting us at times, that could literally be your way in.
What do you need?
Essentially, OC, he's saying that since you don't want to fully join the Cabal, but you're interested in helping out, essentially, if we're forming a company that does prosthetics and cybernetics, if you've got any skills that could apply to that, like engineering or something,
I do.
Basically, you could basically be a contractor, is what he's saying, and you'd actually get paid for it too, presumably.
I can help you do that. That's no problem at all. My specialty lies in.
Is it still architecture? It used to be.
And computers. And engineering, architecture, and robotic drones.
That could actually be very helpful.
Thank you. That's appreciated. Because, as you may or may not know, programming is definitely a part of cybernetics.
Yes.
Well, then we definitely would have some room to call upon your skills. All right. So, so we have a general idea. I can probably work with Rupert here to try and find some locations that might be suitable, and get a price tag. Let's see, what else? That does bring us to something else. Part of the biggest problem here is that it's not so much that everyone we've met is an infernalist. I don't believe that's likely. We have one person who's admitted to it. I don't know if there's anyone else.
Wait, who has admitted to being an infernalist? Eric says, and now he's on guard.
Yuki.
Wait. What?
The person the Inquisition are after for being in the third list has actually admitted it more than once publicly.
She apparently.
I haven't seen her since that night on the Leviathan.
Yes, she was captured by. Okay, I swear I will get this summary down to 3 sentences. I swear. Let's see. She was captured by the Union, but somehow got out and met us at Agrabah Nights after the Leviathan was captured.
Mm-hmm.
She's now pregnant with Faust's demon baby, which has the true name of the second coming of Christ. I wish I were making that up. And this is because she made a bargain with Faust to allow Faust to name her firstborn child. Also, she directly asked Lucifer for help in front of several people.
Eric's eyes widens.
So, again, I don't think... Now, here's the thing. I do not qualify her as, shall we say, he uses air quotes, evil? She's not going at this from the perspective of someone who wants world domination or killing people or anything like that. Well, at least any more than the Euthanatoi do their whole good death thing, but I don't think that's relevant here. Apparently, the bargain with Faust was made with the naive belief that it would help save the city. And I presume her wish to get information from Lucifer was for the same reasons. But that does not excuse it. I'm simply pointing out that we should not consider her to be a black-hearted villainess so much as someone who has woefully bad judgment.
Well, nonetheless, actually doing deals with demons is kind of objectively evil.
Yeah, they say that.
That is always devils are evil by definition.
I've heard that saying. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes, and I fully agree with that. The important thing to remember is they were originally good intentions. I'm not saying that gets her out of any of the consequences. I'm simply saying I'm not accusing her of being some.
She's not She's not objectively evil, but the things she's doing is causing evil to happen.
You can argue she may have some redeeming features, but she is still objectively evil, or has committed evil. Sorry, no, beg pardon. She's
not a nefandus yet.
She has committed acts which are objectively evil. There is a difference.
There, that's completely acceptable.
There you go.
I can agree to that.
Okay.
But the biggest issue is not that. The biggest issue is there are several people who know of this now and have no interest in interfering.
That bothers me. That worries me, because especially when the masters of the traditions don't want to do anything, it makes me feel like this is coming from somewhere really high up, somewhere even above them, mayhaps.
No, here's the problem. I don't think most of the masters were aware of any of this. They typically have their own struggles to deal with. Master Siren was only made aware of this when whatever she did caused his mother to turn her face from the world, and it nearly killed him. And he's in no condition now to do anything. He was already injured, apparently, from some prior encounter when this occurred. So his life is literally hanging in the balance now, especially with the Archbishop unable to maintain his health. But the Archbishop attempted to do something and was convinced not to. To be fair, at the time, I had the understanding, which Magister Donofrier has assured me that is not the case. I thought that fate itself was protecting her from any consequences, that he would be unable to harm her. I was worried the Archbishop would attempt his spell and it would backfire and kill him. But apparently that is not the case. And as for the others, the Inquisition is actively hunting her, and I do not know as to the intentions of Sisho or Gravedigger. Gravedigger, from the one encounter I had with him, probably would not give a crap. He seemed very mercenary.
Well, you never know unless you ask. I mean,
I'm just recalling Gravedigger did a deal with some people to claim everything they lost on the Leviathan mission. Is there any way that is going to let him interfere with this in some way?
Perhaps you could argue that means since Yuki was lost, she is his.
I know. I think Luke is okay. Yuki came through with us in the second group, so she didn't make that deal. It was the first group who made that deal.
Then I doubt it.
Oh, win rate.
Perhaps, but if that were the case, wouldn't he have already done that?
I don't know. Maybe he may claim his soul. Or spirit. I don't know.
It's worth investigating at some point. It would be nice if Winrate had not died. Apparently, there were others who were very sure he was, since they'd already passed the title over.
I did not know him well, but I'm moved by his sacrifice.
Yes.
There was, on the subject of the possible end of the world, there was a realization I should probably share. Many of you are probably not aware of the mythology around the Leviathan. Chanru?
I
know we've discussed it.
Yes, we did. Anyone else?
I'm not particularly aware of that aspect of the mythology now.
Okay. The Leviathan, as is mentioned in the Bible, both the Jewish and the Christian books. I'll just see if make sure I can recall the reference correctly. It's a great sea monster in the Bible, Book of Job and Psalms, so on. In the Jewish tradition, it is said that at the end, at the apocalypse, the Leviathan will be slain, and the faithful will feed upon its flesh and dwell within a tent made from its hide.
Gross.
Well, not if you're not if you're from the classical world, where of course that's what tents are made out of.
Yeah.
What else would they be made from? But no, think about what's happened. The Leviathan has been slain, and currently they're not exactly faithful, but the traditions are literally feeding upon its flesh and dwelling within its hide.
Man. Oh.
I find this train of thought quite disturbing, and
Yeah.
Especially since it sounds somewhat plausible.
exactly.
Prophecies are a very vague thing, and that's part of what makes interpreting them hard. But it sounds like it could be possible, and that's bad enough. Between that and the Second Coming being suborned for a demon's plot, and the gates of hell apparently being likely to open, it looks as if there are several different signs pointing towards the end of the world. Though, apparently, this is not the first time that's happened in this city, just in the last 6 months. Miss Hoth said something to the effect of, what is this, the 4th time?
You know, I'm about to get me a Rapture survival card, and if I get 9 punches, that I survive the 10th one free. Okay? Seriously.
That would be why we would be building a very good bunker.
So we will need to become preppers, Eric says with a grin.
Yeah? Yeah? I'll agree to that.
Do we also need to grow our beards and put on funny accents? He smiles.
I mean, that's not required.
So, I mean, I think our first order of business is getting to know each other, and as I said, finding a place to call home, or a place where we can be together and study and train and practice our arts together, and fortify it, ready. And once we've got a strong place to stand upon, we can think about going out there and maybe doing some good in the world.
Preferably with an army of drones. I mean,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yeah. I would prefer to hide behind drones. Just leave Galatea out of it.
No, she would be base security, I would imagine. We wouldn't want to send out anything like that. But regardless. OC, since a lot of that stuff would probably take a lot of planning, we can use the little Facebook chat group for that. That's part of why we made that. So we'll be able to get a lot of the, like, oh, hey, guys, what do you think about this idea, etc. Let's see. That also brings me to something else. Let's see. Oh, yes. So we have 2 virtual adepts in the room, 2 hermetics, and Eric and Hyun have still not yet picked any sponsors at this point, which I don't know if I mentioned this already, but it might be a good idea in the near future to do so. Not saying it is a requirement by any means, just it might be a good idea.
That way you have some backing, some representation, some help aside from just us.
Plus, in all honesty, I believe people are more likely to try and categorize you if they believe you come from a specific group, and then they believe they know you, and they are less likely to worry about what you are and what you do.
The issue with me is getting people to let me in when I'm a technocratic cyborg with amnesia.
You would hardly be the first technocrat to join the traditions.
Yeah, but most of those aren't cyborgs with amnesia.
Yeah, there have been a couple from what I hear.
If given we've had entire conventions defect en masse to join the traditions.
If either of you are interested, I can definitely put in a word with my own mater, also Rupert's mater. We have the same instructor, and at least survey the possibility. In your case, Yun, I won't lie, there might be some requirement as to having you checked out by a professional.
I have been. The problem is to get really into kind of what I guess the core of me, you need an access code, which used to be my access code, but is currently locked up in my memory banks, which you need the access code for.
That sounds like a catch-22.
I was about to say the same, yeah.
No, there was someone else who has its access code, but she's unfortunately dead now.
Well, I mean,
that wouldn't be Dr. Krentis, would it?
It would in fact be.
That brings me to another topic. All right, so while we're putting our proverbial hearts on the table, or cards, or whatever. All right, so some of you were present for my awakening. Some of you may already know this, and some of you may put pieces together. He points at the golems and the forge and so on. But I apparently have some connection with, shall we say, friends in high places.
Okay.
I may... Look, both I and... who's the other person who gave their word that Krentis would be safe? Was that you, Eric, or was that...
I mean, I don't know if I gave my word, but I was pretty... I was pretty insistent that if she...
I think Eliza did also.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think I was pretty insistent that if she came along, she wouldn't be harmed.
Shall we say gave your word but not gave your promise?
Yes, whereas in my character's case, it was an actual promise.
Mm.
And I think in Eliza's case also.
Yeah.
He'll say, the gods have granted miracles in the past. Usually there's a high cost. And I have been contemplating attempting to petition Hades. For many reasons. If nothing else, simply for the personal reason that I gave my word she would be safe and was proved a liar. I would rather not let that stain stay on my record. And frankly, I'm still appalled at what happened to her.
Eric nods. So...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Eric does nod, and he shares the outrage, but then he looks at her. Looks at him, and with an academic score of 3, I'm going to say that he does know some basic Greek mythology and legends, unless you guys think otherwise.
That sounds fair to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'll look at him and say, "So basically, you propose to become Odysseus, traveling to Hades."
Actually, that would be Orpheus.
My bad. I'm sorry, Orpheus.
It's quite all right. But essentially, yes, I may be able to pull a favor or something else, but I don't believe it will be that simple. I don't know what it would entail, what cost they would demand, but it might be helpful if I had other people to go with me.
I remind you, it didn't really work out well for Orpheus, did it?
He broke the rules. He was not supposed to look back. Had he not done so, she would be alive.
I think everyone who knows about it would, I hope, share your disgust at the actions that were committed. I can assure you, I've sought to have the man responsible prosecuted, and I'm told he's believed to have fled the city.
Oh no! He was saying the example for Orpheus. No, that's what he was referring to. He was saying Orpheus broke the rules.
Yes, I'm referring to the murder that happened. Let's call it a murder.
Yeah, it was.
So I hope that at least knowing that we are attempting to fulfill some justice on the matter may ease your conscience a little. I respect your ambition and your sense of honor, given there were already forces intent to open the gates of hell. Are you quite sure trying to go through the gates of Hades right now is really the best idea?
The two places are not the same.
I was about to say
No, but perhaps there are some gates that should not be opened.
There are those, and he's going to actually he's normally very self-conscious and cautious, but for this, he's actually going to kind of puff up slightly and just say, "Some have the right. It remains to be seen if I have the ability."
I do not dispute your right. Simply the timing and the.
Eric looks at him and says,
I hope I've got the point across. Perhaps someone else would like to comment on this.
Eric looks at him and says, "Look, I share your outrage of what happened." He says, "I do truly. But if the situation is as dire as you indicate, if the world is likely to, if it's possible that the world is coming to an end in a couple of months and the city's crawling with infernalists, then we need all hands on deck until that's resolved."
I don't believe this would be any sort of month-long exodus or anything like that.
No, but it would be risky.
It would be risky, yes, but I do not believe I have a choice in this matter. This is something I have to do.
Oh yes, I'm not saying.
I'm not planning on doing it tonight or anything. I would prepare for it and hopefully be able to get a conversation with Hades before I actually went down there. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see if he's feeling up to the conversation.
I'm not suggesting that you don't do it at all, Eric says. What I'm suggesting is postpone it until we've resolved the current crisis, so to speak.
I will consider it, but I cannot make any promises. I do not... He shrugs, it does not sit well with him, the idea of letting it wait, even especially if it's the end of the world.
Kurzweil looks at Stephanos and says, "Yeah, we do have precious little time, and nothing risked, nothing ventured. I stand behind you, man."
I appreciate it. We'll see what happens. Don't worry. I will leave my affairs in order if that happens, I assure you.
Not meaning any offense to your faith. How do you consider that your underworld fits into the metaphysics, the cosmology of the traditions? Is it an umbral realm? Is it?
I have not studied the matter at length, but I know that the gods are real. I have met and spoke with several of them now. I know that they have their own realms. I have been assured of that. And that their powers are real. And if their powers are real, I believe that that some souls do enter their realm. And they may have authority to help return those who are dead, whether they were believers or not.
Well, I think we can be confident that the person in question was not a believer.
True, but as I said, that may not be required.
The idea, Eric says, I have to admit that the idea of gods does not annoy. That's not the right word. It does twitch me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit behooved by the concept of gods too. Don't feel alone there, Eric.
I mean, what with due respect, and I really do mean this, Stephanos, is Moses coming down from the mountain with the 10 commandments next?
Well, let's see. So far in my brief what, 3 weeks ish, not quite a month of being part of this community, I have met Eris twice. I have met Hermes. I have met a demon. I have met the demon or the devil or something near enough in power. I have met an archangel, and well, that's just the ones I remember off the top of my head.
Wait. And an archangel, as from like Gabriel and what?
Yes,
called?
specifically Gabriel.
His eyes widen.
And
Okay.
so did Yuki and several others. Gabriel tried to kill Yuki.
Well, if what you guys say is true about what she did, then that would make sense, I guess. If he's anything like what the
She.
Bible says he is. What?
They
She?
apparently got the pronunciation wrong. You're talking to the wrong person if you have a complaint about that.
Eric shakes his head. I'm just a little bit mind blown, to be honest. Okay.
None of these. If I had encountered any of these entities by myself, I would worry about my sanity. But every single one of them, I have met in the company of others who can repeat back the same experience.
Oh, I believe you. That's not it. Eric says and makes a point out of underlining the fact that he's not trying to question what you're saying. It's just difficult to wrap my mind around.
By the way, you were asking who had Aura Sight up. Do you mean Spirit Sight?
I guess stuff that lets you see auras. Well, you know it
Yeah.
anyway. This is just anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
In any case, also, let's see. 1 second. Keep going, guys. Sorry, ignore me for 1 second.
We'll go into that.
Does anyone else have another slice of pizza?
Does anyone want to risk having a slice of homunculus?
Hell yeah.
Man.
The golem, the golem
Pizza
melts.
is very delicious. It's cheese, pepperoni, green pepper, mushrooms, and a little bit of garlic pepper.
Alright, Adam, we got a 5.
Got a 5?
Yeah.
5 slices? Jesus.
Wow.
Man.
Not 5 slices.
I have a
Slice,
roll.
the number represents the slice that you eat, kind of.
Oh, nice.
That's kind of a chance die thing.
s-
Roll me.
Stephanos has told us of his own beliefs. Does anyone else here have any particular religious belief or affiliation they wish to tell us about?
None here.
Eric shakes his head. I'm a scientist. He says, I believe in what I can see, measure, and weigh. And then the awakening happened, and my entire life was thrown upside down.
Oh, yeah. I'll second that one, Benny.
Science need not preclude belief in God. Newton was deeply faithful.
No.
I don't know that thing about Newton, though. Newton was around when the Spanish Inquisition was burning people alive, and I'm pretty sure he was smart enough to know that to proclaim anything else than Christianity was a death sentence in his day. So maybe not.
Well, actually, it wasn't, Eric said, because again, with academic 3, he would know some history at least, because Newton didn't live in Spain; he lived in England, and the Spanish Inquisition
And much later,
really didn't have much force at Newton's time anyway. But
Oh, okay. I
Hey,
stand corrected.
England never
I'm
went.
gonna eat a slice of pizza.
Oh no, Byron.
I do know, however, that he was obsessed with alchemy, so you can be spiritual and scientific at the same time. In fact, Carl Sagan said that science can be a profound source of spirituality.
Alchemy was a science in his time.
Yeah. Alchemy gave birth to chemistry, just like astrology gave birth to astronomy.
Well,
Gotta have
that's one take on it. You could also say that once the spirituality and the personal growth aspects were exercised from it by the technocracy, that it became chemistry.
I hear you. There's that too.
So,
Yeah, 9.
Does he live, Adam?
That's who
Wait,
it
did
is.
we matter?
What was
Wait
the
a
one
second.
who rolled?
9. I gotta be taken
You're
off.
fine. You're fine. You don't have to roll. You're good. It's a nice, delicious slice of pizza.
I think I'll take
Hey,
I think I'll take.
I gotta take off here.
Okay.
Benny, let me shoot them just politely. People, leave me alone.
No worries, man. It's all
Thank you
good.
guys. I got people call me everywhere.
Sorry, man. Have a good one.
Wondering where I am. I'm
Hey, if no one else is eyeballing that last slice of pizza, can I eat it?
Go right ahead, Eric says, and gesturing to the pizza.
All right, I'll eat it.
Do we get to keep your item if you die?
No,
I'm going to loot the body for the for the fancy pants or whatever.
my tricorder. No.
Yes.
oh, I mean,
Stefanos, as you're looking outside the window, outside of kind of glazing your eyes around outside of the window, roll me your perception alertness.
The thing I actually have for once on a character. Like, usually my characters are like, what? What?
So you
This
have the
one's
very
like
last
perception
slice as well.
4. All right. Would Keen Eye help me? Because it sounds like it should.
Yeah, keen eye, yeah, that'll help you.
Okay, I'm making a roll. What's the diff?
I would say the diff is 7.
Neither side will help me.
How many successes do you have in your prime site?
I don't know. Probably like 1 or 2 to effect.
Okay, so we'll say 6 then.
Okay. Holy
Hell. Okay.
5 successes.
Outside, you see an individual outside, walking through your neighborhood that seems to have some kind of, black trench coat, black pants, a beard, a kind of curly Greek-like beard, carrying what looks, kind of walking what looks like a black dog, a rather large one, and they seem something's familiar about it.
He's gonna look slightly at it. What does it look like under the sights?
There is a very potent, quintessential pattern about it. And spiritual sights, if you look on the other side of the umbra, they look more... what's the best way to put it? They more have a set of Greek-like robes. And they also have a staff in one of their hands.
Be right back.
The dog has
The dog has. I think I know the dog, and I think I have his picture. I have
Yes,
the picture.
You have the picture, but yes, it has 3 heads in the spiritual world.
Off goes Little Red Riding Hood.
He's going to drop what he's doing and bolt out that door. Albeit, when I say bolt, I mean he has the lame flaw. So he's like, hobbling his way out of the backyard into the street.
So you hobble into the street. You see the individual walking by the sidewalk. They don't seem to pay too much attention to you, but they do notice you. But, they walk at a fairly slow pace, so you're able to catch up with them fairly easily.
And he's just looking like, okay, now that he's close enough, he's just making sure. Greek robes. And that's a 3-headed dog.
Yes.
And the aura is what he's expecting.
It's very, very brilliant. Well, actually, I would actually say this. The aura is drooped in a...
The aura is what?
The aura is drooped in a shadowy miasma of liquidy substance that also denotes various emotional states. But it doesn't seem sinister to you.
Nope.
That's the key.
Okay.
That's the key point.
Oh. So it's not this guy.
No. No.
Not the
No.
Disney version.
No, but there is a little bit of like a blue streak of flame to some of his hair.
Oh, nice. Of course. I can
Yeah.
live with this. Does anyone follow him outside, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Eric will follow. He wants to see what that is
Do
all
you
about.
have any ally dots within? Yep. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, everyone, if they go outside, they see this man as well, but they don't see the more. Well, Gallo, you will. Do you have mine? Do you have an aura sight up?
No. So because the rules issue, I just said I don't have any sights up.
Okay, so you don't.
I don't know
Unless
whether
you
I
have
get a
sights
vibe
up.
because, I don't know if I get a vibe because of my merit I've got.
So he just sees the one face of the pug.
Yes, it's not a pug. It's actually Newfoundland.
Oh, nice.
So, so those of us who doesn't have any sides up, what do we see?
Just a man, black trench coat, black pants, black
Okay.
shirt on the inside.
Okay.
He has some kind of has an omega, necklace around his neck.
So I guess Kurzweil finding this kind of strange. He presses a couple buttons on his tricorder and activates the spirit sight aspect of the tricorder so we can see what Stephanos is seeing. So
I think I
Okay.
found the perfect
So
picture.
roll your irritate difficulty 4.
What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, if you want that's what he looks like, sure.
Cool.
Except we'll say the flames are a little bit more like a bluish,
Blue, yeah.
like a bluish kind of almost cyan kind of color.
They're blue, da ba dee da da.
But it's close. That's a good image. If you give that to me, I could use it for future sessions.
Will do.
Yes.
all right, looks like I got 2 sucks out of that.
So you can put one to the effect, one to duration, and the last the scene.
All right, cool.
So you now see the spiritual world. You see the reflection of the spiritual world around you, or at least from your perspective, probably entities of various sorts that live on the dimensional borders of reality. And this entity seems to be representing a strange psychological concept because they have, a staff, as mentioned in the picture, some bluish, wavy, fiery hair, and black robes with a dog that has 3 heads and is much bigger in the spiritual realms.
It's also worth mentioning, and this is something Evan clarified with me before, for those of you who were present at the Awakening where Eris was there and there was all that gigantic energy just from her, that does not occur in any other case where a deity shows up due to his stuff, because they're showing up as a piece of themselves, not, I am here in all my glory for official duties.
Yep.
No quintessence flowing from our fingertips. I'm sorry.
Oh.
There's no great flow of quintessence. You can tell from the spiritual oral resonance Kurzweil that it has a black miasmic signature that has a donation of various types of emotions ranging from this particular entity.
All right, seeing the emotional aspects, I will go ahead and trigger the mental aspects of the mind vision part of my
Are you trying to
tricorder too.
migrate a god?
No, I just want to see what his aura is like.
Well, you're already seeing his aura. I already just
Oh,
told you
okay.
what his aura looked like.
I understand. I'm talking about Stephanos. I want to see what he's going through.
Okay, you look at Stephanos. Stephanos, what is he going through?
We just lost Rick. He'll be right back. I'll tell him when he returns.
So Rick rolled.
Exactly. Okay, did Hyun follow, by the way, Tiger?
Yeah, he would have saw it. Like when he saw everybody else starting to head off, he would have walked out, seen the shadowy, shady figure, and been like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Okay. So to answer your question, Rick, right now Stefanos is simultaneously like there's a mixture of emotions right now. There's some trepidation because oh hey, I'm talking to a god again. That's not going to get old anytime soon. And it's only his fourth time. And the first time with this god. If it were Eris, he'd just be like, but since it's
So he's just he's still walking. Like you have to walk along. He hasn't really said anything to you, and he just kind of.
Well, presumably I was trying to catch my breath and catch up to him because lame.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to walk very fast. He has a very like melancholic, slow kind of walk to him, and the dog just kind of, follows his bent.
He's gonna catch up as best he can. Just be like, he's speaking in Greek now. By the way, I hate to do that to you guys, but natural language, which is he's going to say in Greek. And he'll stumble over himself once or twice as he starts. He's just like, and I'm sorry to pause, but I have to check one thing real fast. What is the Greek genealogy of the gods? Because I forgot. I got it. Okay, there's Hephaestus. There's Hades. Uncle, would you mind waiting a moment?
Quick question. My character can see chimerical reality. Do I see anything on this person?
There's no distinct chimerical signature on this individual.
Is that odd? Do normal people have them?
No, normal people don't have chimerical traces.
Normal people don't have any chimerical. There's no... Well, would they have a chimera? Their hair may be a little bit, like, bluer have, like, more of a blue tint in chimerical reality, and the dog has 3 heads in chimerical reality.
Yeah, okay, that's quite distinctive. Yeah.
But it's not like this is a fae or something.
But it doesn't seem fairy to you.
Right.
Kurzweil's eyes are like wide. They are like just about to bulge out of his head. He's
so
like,
he'll look to Stefanos and says, I've heard you invoke my name several times, nephew. I thought I'd take a stroll on past and see what you've been up to.
Very busy of late. Still setting up shrines to the rest of the family. But
yes, I've been busy too. There's a lot of work to be done down there.
The dead are ever in need of maintenance, yes. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to talk over you over there. Sorry. Rosie.
No, you're fine. I don't particularly mind too much. My other kin, well, they prefer pomp and circumstance, but I'm a little bit too tired for all that annoyance.
Well, you must be missing Persephone around this time of year.
Yes, He just doesn't say anything after that.
Yep, because that's still a thing.
And he feels, and you could tell, guys, whoever can see his aura, he feels ways.
Eric looks at Stefanos and then looks at the stranger, and let's see, what would he need? He doesn't have spirit. He does have prime. I'm gonna roll to see if I can get prime side up.
Sure. What instruments do you use?
I mean, merely. Let's see, what instruments do we have? Fuck.
He's like stuff through mental discipline.
Yeah, I mean, like his inner voice, like the voice in his head. You know, the voice we always have.
Sure, I can see that.
4 F1, 3 successes.
So you can put 1 success and 2 into duration. You can definitely see that this entity has quite a potent quintessential pattern.
Oh.
But it does not, I guess you could say, overwhelming. It's just quite potent compared to most humans.
Okay. So he knows it's not just some random stranger from the road. Okay, good.
Also, the dog has a powerful quintessence rating.
Yeah, the dog also has one. It's almost they're both, they almost share, like, the resonance of both of them is very shared. The resonance of this individual is temperamentally he's depressed and feels like he there's a lot weighing on him. There's a elemental resonance of death, but not in a sinister sense. And there is a. In fact, what's odd is there's a stabilizing resonance to him. It's a kind of. There's a calming, stabilizing signature from this entity as well.
So I'm gonna. Kurzweil doesn't really know what he's seeing, even though he is seeing weird things. So I'm gonna go ahead and right-click on the dog and the god.
Oh, I gotta see this.
I need to look at the right-click rote. I don't remember what it does.
It looks up. Okay, technically speaking, the right-click rote basically lets you look up any information that could be publicly attained about the individual. Oh. Now, that also includes like a facial recognition software usually and stuff like that. But, well, I mean, if his face bears any resemblance to certain Greek statues, he might find himself on a Wikipedia page.
Okay, so you're going to need to use Mind 3. Do you have data or correspondence? Because
I have data, and I have a right-click as a rote, but I don't have Mind 3.
Isn't it built into...
Yeah, it's built into my my tricorder.
So the right-click is built into your tricorder?
Yes, yeah. It's one of his wonder effects.
Okay, so go ahead and roll your wonder. It's going to be... I'd say it's coincidental, so it's going to be difficulty 6.
And your wonder has 4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a 4-rank wonder. I guess I'll go ahead and burn a willpower point while I do this.
You need at least 2 successes. Also, here's the thing, though. You're scanning the surface thoughts of the subject, according to this rote.
No, that's not required.
That's not required?
No. Right-click is usually customizable. You can choose which effects go into it. I don't remember how many his has.
Let me see.
But
what's your character's name on the Kevin Warwick here?
What was the difficulty, by the way?
Difficulty 6.
Okay, he looks like he got 2 successes.
Matter, life, matter, mind, prime.
Yeah, it says specifically, like, the first line of the rote, or of the system is Mind 3 scans the surface thoughts of sentient subjects.
We'll go with this for now, because honestly, I'm interpreting that it's just taking the more of the dimensional resonance of it. But we're gonna probably enforce it on other beings later on to basically roll the willpower of the subject. So you got 2 successes there. That should be barely enough. It has a likeness and similar bearings to that of Hades, the Greek god of death, the earth, for certain aspects of fertility, regions of death, darkness, the afterlife, and metals.
And the dog?
The dog seems to be a resemblance to Cerberus, although you've never seen it represented as a Newfoundland before. However, it could relate to the idea that the dog, like a Newfoundland, is kind of like a dog that's used to nanny like people sometimes and to save people. And usually there's a big river in the underworld in Greek mythology, so maybe it makes sense for a Newfoundland a water-based creature to be able to guard the lands of the dead.
Kurzweil is slack-jawed, and his eyes are wide as hell.
Eric notices this and looks at him with a bit of a strange look on his face. What?
No, only Kurzweil got the full breadth of info from that, and Stefanos can probably...
Yeah, but he's looking at Kurzweil, that's what I'm saying.
Also, I have to point that out again. I'm sorry for I'm not trying to screw folks over on this, but unless Hades was talking in English, everything they've been saying so far was in Greek.
Yes, everything they've been saying so far has been in Greek.
I understand. Kurzweil is just speaking. He can't speak Greek, so yeah.
Okay, well, go have your conversation.
Yeah, let's continue on with the conversation. Let's not interrupt anymore.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fair. That's fair. Folks are totally, yeah, it's okay.
And he'll look to Stephanos and say, "So, what do you need of me, nephew?"
It concerns one of your recently acquired tenants.
I've had to take care of many and bring them into other states that you may not recognize. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
Well, of course. There was a woman that we encountered some time ago, myself and some others. She was in danger, and I gave my word that I would protect her. And others gave their word as well. And to keep things short, and this is in English now, by the way, as of this sentence, what he was saying, just like, whatever. English, I can. I gave my word that she would be safe. So did some others. And the next I found out, she apparently was murdered by one of the others in our team. That person will likely face justice for that, but unfortunately the damage is done. And it appears that she still had much work left to do, which is the way of things, and that is not unjust. It is many leave before they complete what they wish to, but...
For a variety of reasons. Yeah.
Yes. The fellow over here has... Apparently there are secrets to his very being that only she can unlock, and she is unfortunately passed beyond our realm. And while I'm sure I could simply attempt to contact her at some point and get the information, I am more concerned with redeeming my word and attempting to give her a reprieve from your realm. If there is any... He looks really nervous about this. Like, he realizes what he's asking. He's just like, it has been done before, if I remember my stories.
The girl.
Yes.
I know who you speak of. I'm tending to her, preparing her for her next journey.
So how does one go about doing that? Short of being apparently one of the strongest magi in existence, because that's apparently what it requires for most.
There are many different ways. Although, I'm not sure if I want to tell you, if I'm honest. As much as I understand... Stephanos, how do you see death? What is death to you?
It is the necessary progression after life. It is one half of the cycle.
Do you think...
Go ahead.
And you wish to retrieve this girl and bring her to life?
Yes.
Which do you think is better?
Sorry, was he completing that, or was that the...
No, that's the question.
Which do you think is better? He didn't list an alternative. I'm confused context.
No. He's asking you which state of being do you think is better, to be dead or to be alive? That's basically what he's asking you.
That would depend very much. I do not know the perspective of the dead, for if I ever was dead, I don't remember it.
I'm sure you have.
From the perspective of the living, life is better. Perhaps from the perspective of the dead, there is far less to worry about. But she did leave. I mean, she has ties to the mortal world, as many of the dead do. If she has not divorced herself from those ties, she might agree that being living is preferable.
Perhaps.
I believe
that not many people are aware of. Not many seem to remember. But you'll be surprised to find, and he's speaking in English, you'll be surprised to find how much living does to the soul. You wish to bring her back. I understand the wantonness. You wish to keep your promise. At the same time, I want you to think about what you're asking. You wish to bring her back to help this man here. But not only that, Stephanos, there's a good chance this cycle may end, as you certainly have been spreading the word to your various allies here. And you want to have her live again, and then perhaps die again. That's not easy on the soul.
No, I would imagine not.
It can harm its integrity. If this is still something you wish to do, I can give you a path to follow in your dreams, and perhaps you can find it. But you need to be careful about how many times you wish a soul to encounter life, for it bears a significant weight and scourge on the soul, and that's what I tend to. Sometimes I don't bring a soul back into life. It's too hard on it. I take it elsewhere.
I can understand and appreciate that. I would not wish to deprive her of her deserved rest, but
I just thought I'd let you know.
I believe the best outcome that I could see would be to try and retrieve her, if possible, to the realm of the living, and then hopefully we do not intend to simply let this end of the cycle, as you put it, or Armageddon or Judgment Day, as others call it. We do not intend on letting this come to pass. At the very least, we will do all we can to protect those near and dear to us, but if possible, we will prevent any sort of calamity from befalling others. We would do, put it this way, if she dies again, she's likely to have a lot of company, and you will have more work than you've had in many an age.
And I hope you can prevent me from having to go through such work. And he'll kind of give a really grim smile. And he'll simply say, I just want you to think on it, Stephanos. Be careful what you let, what kind of states of being you let souls encounter again and again. And he'll kind of give you a nod and begin to pick up the pace and walk off a little bit. Yes, come, Cerberus. Come. And then the dog who was sniffing on the who seemed to be almost sitting in front of a house, kind of almost staring at the second floor window. You actually see, if anyone has spirit sight,
boom,
a tiny ball of light comes from the second floor story of the house, and it starts to wrap around the collar of the dog in the spirit world, the three-headed beast, and says, "Now run along. You know what to do with it." And runs off into the in between the houses.
He'll bow respectfully and mutter an appropriate farewell, close to a prayer, frankly, because he's not at that state yet. So every one of them deserves all of his respect.
And all of you feel a little bit of a blessing. You all kind of feel, while a little bit grim, you feel like it's a grimness that lets you reflect on life, and it kind of gives you some reflective thoughts about life and death that might put you at ease. So everyone give yourself a temporary willpower point, even if it goes past your willpower rating.
Woohoo!
Whoa. Yeah, Kurzweil's body hair is standing on end, and yeah, he's just like in a state of unbelief. He's pretty much on the verge of having an existential meltdown right now.
Whereas Stephanos is actually more relieved now. And he's just like, that went better than I was expecting.
And he's doing chill. That's the thing.
He can't stop stuttering. That was I don't know how I can take this. I don't know how to handle this. I need a second.
Let's take this back to the forge.
Okay.
He's going to start hobbling unless someone helps him because he's going to slow down the group.
Jen will just straight up pick him up in a fireman's carry and start carrying him back.
Okay.
Kurzweil is like rubbing his shoulders. And his whole body feels like it's on fire.
Once they're back in the forge, Stefanos, once he's back on his feet, is just going to like lean against the forge, just be like, "Well, wasn't expecting to manage to do that without lots of prayers and possibly an animal sacrifice or two. I mean, that's usually how it's supposed to be done." By the way, how did Eric take all of this?
Well, he was as soon as he found out who was actually or found out, he didn't find out. As soon as he guessed from the part of the conversation that was in English, who the other person was, he didn't quite know what to do with himself, but he kept quiet, and he has questions, but he'll ask them later at some point.
Fair enough. I know it's late on your end. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, man.
Really somebody, Stefanos, to just step up to a god and start a conversation. Man, you got balls. I can hear him jingling from here.
Yes, that would be. He actually blushes at that. And he's just like kind of scratchy at his neck slightly. Family privilege.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Kurzweil got that.
You're what?
He said family privilege.
What? You two are what? Are you serious? Related? Is that what you're telling me?
He's just going to lean back against the forge, look towards the golems, look towards the hammer, which glows in prime sight, looks back at you.
Well, there are plenty of accounts of that pantheon being promiscuous.
Wow.
It's not a blood relation. It's complicated. You seem relatively learned about the Greek histories, Rupert.
For obvious reasons.
I can summarize this in a way that you'll grasp it very quickly then. As it was explained to me, Hephaestus is dead. And the reason he's dead is he did something very foolish. And he pissed off Ares, and Ares killed him. I mean, it had to happen at some point. And they can't simply bring him back. It's more complicated than that. So they took pieces of him and are apparently sewing them in specific people.
And you're one of those people? Lucky you.
Yes. Until someone comes and kills me for it. I mean, for all I know, there are people who do that, like that. What's that movie? Highlander.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. There can be only one.
Yeah, Ruben looks unhappy at the jokes there. He looks like he's obviously hesitated over his words in this. I can relate to that, the heavy burden.
Oh, really?
Are you speaking of what we were just talking about, or about what Hades was speaking about?
Let's perhaps return to the matter at hand. Thank you for your candor and explaining why that being decided to pay us a visit. But I assume that's not a common event even in your life.
Let's see. Eris the first time. Eris second time didn't count. That was for Lottie, not for me. Hermes once, and now Hades. So 3 in the span of a month.
Right.
Man,
I honestly, I don't know. I don't think all of those conversations would go as well. I'm told Ares apparently is forbidden from killing me again, at least until I come into my own.
Ares does get quite a bad press in the Greek myths. The Romans are far kinder to him,
Yes.
but the Romans consider themselves all sons of Mars.
Exactly. In any case, I hardly know whether I will be as fortunate. Hades is even-tempered. Hermes is rather genial. And Eris, well, the first time I met her was doing official business and had little opportunity to cause trouble. As if you are familiar with the myths, as you seem to be, then yes, every time I interact with one, I'm rolling dice.
For those of you not so familiar with the myths, the Romans referred to Mars as the god of war, who is more of a stern martial father figure, literally a father to them. That's their version. The Greek older version, Ares, is the blind, destructive fury of war. They're all the negative aspects of warfare. I think the account is he turns up at the siege of Troy and actually takes the field and embarrassingly loses a fight. It's quite shameful, really.
And every time he gets injured, he runs home to Papa, so to speak.
He's a bit of a what would the term? Yeah, he doesn't get a good press in the Greek myths. But
No.
I was not aware of Hephaestus dying. The only, as far as I had read, the only god who had ever died was Pan.
This is not part of the legends. This was apparently a more recent development.
Oh.
At least from what I was told.
No, the death of Pan was relatively recent. They dated to 33 AD, which, as you may know, is a very significant year. You can try to see how the spot reacts to that.
He's just kind of looking at you like not getting the significance.
According to some mathematics, that would be the year of the crucifixion.
Huh.
weird kind of intersection between all these different stories and legends.
You know that house where the dog sat in front of?
Is there an ambulance going there?
Nope. There is a black. I forgot what they're called, but they're basically black vehicles where you transport a recently deceased person. A hearse. Yep.
Hearse. Yep.
A hearse. Yep. It's pulling up towards that driveway now.
Doesn't seem too surprised.
But I mean, back to the matter at hand. Suppose you accomplished what you were considering and managed to bring her back. Just what would that experience do to the sanity of a atheist progenitor?
We don't know that she was an atheist.
Most Union are, aren't they?
Not from what I was told.
I remember openly laughing at the talk of religion.
I think that was more the idea of applying religion to a disease. That which does sound something like what they would do.
Well, her exact religious beliefs aside, though, I think we could take it like Eric here, that she believes in science. It might be possible that having her entire paradigm completely disproven.
From all that I have heard, they would probably just chalk it up to hallucinations, bizarre deviant activities, and call it a day. It's not as if she was planning on rejoining the Union had she survived.
No, the Union would, but having lived through it firsthand, I'm not sure how she would. If you brought her back, she might not be entirely sane.
Uh-oh.
I think that would be why I would have to discuss the matter with her before bringing her back. and see what condition she is in.
I mean, yes, I would speculate that any good mother would want to be returned to life, if only for the sake of her child. But
we'll have to see. I'll let you know if I encounter anything when I go to sleep later. But that's I don't know much else. He said he was going to show me a path in my dreams. It might be a vision. It could be a spirit quest. I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm taking guesses here.
Well, good luck, man. Happy trails.
In any case, I appreciate the concern. It's just I can't make an informed decision until I've actually gotten some information. In any case, I believe we accomplished quite a bit here this evening. We've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, counting Eric, who he stepped away. The 5 of us, plus Benny as a sometime ally. That's already a good start.
Yes, if there are 5 of us, I guess Benny is the Y, because Y is only in a vowel sometimes, right?
Yes, and yeah. In any case, I should probably see to my apprentice. Etiquette 0. This is what happens when Etiquette 0 is trying to find a way to tell people. Nudge, nudge, nudge.
All right. I know when I'm being asked to leave. Have a good night, everybody.
And yeah. If there's any pizza left, oh wait, there's not. You all get bottled waters.
Yay. All right.
Does anyone else have anything they want to do, or?
Jen will linger for a minute, after everybody else leaves, and turn to Stephanos and say, if you do decide to go down there and you want some backup, just let me know. So I kind of like to ask some questions, and the offhand chance she doesn't want to come back.
Got the theory. I have a spare cot over here in the forge. It's a long shot, and I don't know how this would work, but perhaps if you're sleeping not too far away and I have some sort of bizarre vision experience, if I encounter Hades again in my dreams, I might be able to ask him to include you to see what needs to be seen. I mean, if not, you have a night of sleeping on a bad bench.
Sounds fair to me.
Okay. And he'll go get you a blanket and stuff.
All right. Thanks for everything, you guys. Guess I'll see you. Keep me posted.
Contact information has been exchanged, so yep, he'll just be like, yep. Well, once we have a location and some ideas, we can start figuring out what we're going to do.
All right. Good night.
And he'll
just
be
before
like,
the scene ends,
you
see a bloated Sadia come down the stairs with the pizza, and she just kind of goes, too much.
I have Pepto-Bismol. The most holy of supplements.
Let's just say there's nearly almost real explosive diarrhea.
Oh, the plumbing in that forge is not prepared. Anyways, good point to end the scene, I'm guessing, unless anyone has anything else.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you. We did have some watchers, apparently, so thank you for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness in Dublin.